Welcome back to FTM Transformers. It's Saturday, week 11, and today's topic is coming out. Coming out was not a singular process for me. It happened over a long period of time, and I had different identities in different places in this timeline. When I was 13, I came out as bisexual. When I was 14, I came out as a lesbian. And I stuck with that identity until when I was 16, I tried to come out as straight, and it was only because I was going through my rebellious phase. My parents are liberals, and the only thing I could think of that would really piss them off was to become a little more conservative, so I hung out with a Bible study club, and I tried to make myself straight. Also, I grew up in North Carolina, and for me personally, that meant that I got very confused about my sexuality because, for one thing, the sexual education in my schools was so weird and wrong and not anywhere near accurate or helpful that I just sort of scratched my head about a lot of things, I did not know anything about the queer community at all. And I didn't know much about sexuality at all. So I just sort of, throughout my adolescence, I just kind of scratched my head and went, And that was a very short phase, me trying to be straight when I was 16. That did not last very long, because when I was 16, I went to boarding school in New England. And at the same time, my parents moved to a state in the Northeast. So a lot of things changed, and when I went to this school, I realized that I had more freedom to explore my identities than I had when I was living in North Carolina. And so I did start to explore my identities a little bit. I don't know, it was a very interesting time for me, and I came out as a lesbian while I was at this school. And for the most part, that was okay. There were two people, a boy and a girl, who decided it would be fun to bully me about it. Which, their idea of fun was really messed up. When I think of fun, I think of reading a book, or going out for a nice walk, or watching a movie, or, I don't know, playing tennis, or playing video games. But their idea of fun was to bully me for being queer. And that made me very sad. But a few months into this amazing boarding school thing, maybe about 6, 7, 8 months into it, I was reading in the library one day, in the periodicals room, and I read this article in a magazine about independent schools, and this one article was about a transgender student at a school who was in the 8th grade, and she transitioned to female her last year at school. And I was reading this article, and I was finding it very interesting, but something was scaring me. Something felt like, that feeling that you get when you're on the edge of something that you know is really important, and is going to change you. I didn't realize that was that feeling at the time, but I put the article back very carefully. And then a few days later, I took the article again, I sat down, I read it, and I realized, okay, I'm trans. I wanted to start thinking about what this meant. And so I talked to teachers at my school. I told them that I was thinking about trying to go with the male dress code instead of the female one, and that I was thinking about making other changes along the lines of I want to be more in the boys section of the school than the girls section of the school. I wanted to be thought of as a boy, and that I may be transgender. And even though these teachers and one or two students I talked to had been very supportive when it came to me being gay, being trans was like a whole nother thing. Like, when I told him this, I was kind of naively hoping it would not be a big deal to bring this up. It was a huge deal to them. When I talked to them about, I would like to cut my hair and start wearing the boys' dress code, one of my teachers was just like, "What? Are you sure about this?" And eventually people just kind of told me, "No, you should not do this here, not now." And I kind of figured that too, because I had already been bullied for being gay. It seemed really kind of not a good idea to come out as trans at this one particular place, even though there were a lot of things about the school that were really awesome. This was not one of them. It was not. The school had said that they were ready to accept their first trans student, and they weren't. They just simply weren't, because I was already there, and they were clearly not ready. Anyway, my senior year sucked because of this. My senior year, I did not come out. I just stayed the same. Although, essentially not the same, because I knew I was trans and I knew that there wasn't anything I could do about it for at least a year. So here's what happened. I had a horrible year. I was angry. I didn't get along with other students. I didn't get along with some of my teachers. I didn't do all of my homework. I went on long bike rides at night, just sort of angry at the world. Not that there's anything wrong with long bike rides at night. That's actually a wonderful idea as long as you're riding in a place where there's no cars and you're wearing a helmet. Wear helmets. Anyway, I was angry and upset, and my advisor hated me. And a lot of the other students just simply didn't like me. They thought I was weird and annoying. And I wasn't very nice because I was so upset about not being able to be myself. And I knew that it was just so unfair. And I felt like I was constantly emasculated, and it sucked. And I'm telling you all this because coming out is important. And it should be nobody's decision except yours. You should decide when you're ready to come out. And I want you to think about that sometimes if you don't come out, it can be a lot more troubling than if you do. That's not always the case, but that's what happened my senior year of high school. And looking back, I really wish that I had found some way to come out safely. Some way to be myself. And that's not the case, and I can't go back and change time, and really, to a great degree, it doesn't matter because I'm here now, I'm fine, and I have a really excellent life because I am living the life that I want. But I wish that it was always safe to come out. And if you're thinking about coming out but you're on the fence, just have that among the things that you consider, is that you might be unhappy if you're not able to live your full identity. Okay. So the last bit of me coming out was me actually coming out as trans. And that happened when I was 19 years old and in my first year of college. And it was great because I had a lot of friends at college who were totally accepting and really happy for me and totally willing to, adjust with me and use my preferred name and use my preferred pronouns and tell people off when they didn't. Okay, so basically my friends are awesome. My college is, well, it has its issues, but it's also awesome. Definitely more awesome than my high school in regards to this. And I'm really happy that I came out. I wish I'd come out sooner, but even so, my life is just so much better now that I can really fully be myself, and I feel like I'm a much better person for fully realizing my identity and starting to feel comfortable with how people see me. And things are great. So that's all I've got for now. If you are considering coming out as trans, it can be tough, but think about how you'll feel if you do. Think about how you'll feel if you don't. That's an important consideration too. And best of luck.